Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Chef Shelley's Kitchen. So today we are going to make an absolutely wholesome treat. And well, these days all the craze is about kale. And I know there is a video out there, if you've not seen it, where I made crock-pot collards. Today we're going to do crock-pot kale. Very, very similar. I thought I would also show you though how to take it off of the stem. You would be surprised. People are not sure how to prepare this in the best way so that you can get the ideal tenderness. A lot of the grocery stores now are cutting up the collards and the kales for you, but unfortunately they're keeping a lot of the stems. They're like cutting this and putting the stems in the bag as well. So I actually prefer just going au naturel because I don't have to spend 20 minutes picking out all of the stems, which is what I do when I buy the bag version. But again, if you don't have a lot of time, although it's not time because you're going to spend 20 minutes unless you don't mind eating the stem parts. For me, not so much. So very, very simple, some very basic ingredients. And so I just want to kind of take you through the process. So I've actually already cut up most of the kale, but I want to show you how I got to that point. What we're going to do now is I have my crock pot set on high. I'm going to go on and put in my water. So it's not going to be a lot of water, actually likely we'll add some water. The other thing is I'm not putting in a lot of water, that's like 2 cups, because when I washed the kale, I did not put it like in a salad spinner to take the excess water off. So there's going to be water on the kale that will also work its way in here, and it's going to shrink tremendously. The other thing I'm going to put in the crock pot now is actually my smoked turkey necks. And this is frozen and it's a-okay to put it in that way. I'm actually putting one on the bottom. I'm going to put all the kale in as best as I can. And as it starts going down, I'm actually, because I don't think it's going to fit, I'm going to put another piece on top. This way you've got that flavor sucked in. And I'm not going to add my salt or pepper until close to the end. I think I've shared this with you all before. When you've watched me prepare things in the crock pot, we leave those seasonings like salt and pepper to the end. There's something about the ceramic that absorbs the salt in particular. So instead of redoing it, I wait till it's cooked almost. Then I add those seasonings. So we're going to add salt, pepper, and we're also going to add a little bit of chicken flavor. Okay, so let's go on and get started. So how do we, you've got this in the store. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do? It's very simple. You're just going to pull it off of the stem, just like that. Just pull it off, very simple, because we don't want to eat the stem. We want this to be very tender. Now I just bought these and I'm going to tell you this is like some of the most tender kale I've seen in a very long time. And so what that tells me is that I'm not going to have to keep it in the crock pot as long. So under normal circumstances, when the kale is a little harder, again, this is kind of tender kale, what I normally do is I would put it on high and I could cook it all day for 8 hours. If I were cooking this, and I am going to cook it on high today, but I anticipate this only going about 4 hours. So this is, again, something that you want to cook when before you leave to go to work, or if it's on the weekends, before you go to church. You want to put this together, and then by the time it's dinner, voila, you've got it made. And of course, I always cook ample enough portions so that I can easily freeze what we don't eat, which is going to be a lot, and I can go back to that. It'll be already cooked, and it could be for an evening meal. Now, so I've shown you how to take it off. The other thing is the leaves are still obviously rather large. You can cut them. Personally, I just tear them. I just tear it just like this, just kind of the old-fashioned simple way. You're just going to go through the pile and just tear it. That's all you have to do. Again, it's so much easier doing this particular kale because it is so tender. It's like this kale that I normally grow in my garden, but we're kind of out of season, so I'm not growing kale, but it's usually that tender. So you're really going to kind of break up the pieces so, you know, they're like about so, all right? You're just going to take a look. And again, all of this is going to shrivel up, okay? So what we're going to do is, I, again, have prepared most of it already. I just wanted you to see how to tear it apart and clean it. I'm going to run some water over it right now. I'm going to clean it really well. And again, sometimes with my greens, I would put it then in a salad spinner if I'm trying to get the excess water off of it, but I don't want to do that this time because we're going to actually use that water in the crock pot, okay? So this is pretty clean. Again, I kind of looked at it prior to, and it looks really good. I am very anxious to eat this once it gets done. So I'm going to move this over just a little bit. And so we're going to just basically put the kale in the crock pot, and I'm going to stuff it. That's not the only kale. I have a whole bowl of kale, and likely it's not going to all fit. Maybe there's a hint here that somebody needs to get somebody a larger crock pot for Christmas, maybe. Okay, so we're just gonna put this in here as best as we can. And it's more important that I get all of this in here versus getting the meat, because once it goes down, I can add that meat. But honestly, I think I'm gonna be able to get all of that and the meat. Yep, I am. So I'm gonna actually even take the water that was there, and I'm gonna pour it inside, and I'm gonna push it down. And I can't quite see the water yet, so that means I'm going to add some additional water. Okay, so we're going to do that. And I am using tap because my house is on a full house water filtration system. So otherwise I would say, you know, use whatever fresh water that you have, okay? So that I can kind of see the surface of the water, believe it or not. And now I'm going to take my second piece of smoked turkey, put it on top, and voila, that's going to be it. The only other thing that I did forget, which I saw here, is my canola oil. And this is about a tablespoon of canola oil. So just pour that on top like so. All right. And we're going to just let this cook. This is going to cook at least, as I said, it's very tender, so it should be ready in probably about 4 hours, maybe even 3. We're going to time it. And then when it's just about done, I will come back, I will add the salt, the pepper to taste, and then a little bit of the chicken flavoring, okay? We're gonna do that. So we're gonna let it cook, do its thing, and then we'll be back. Okay, we're back. So it has been 3.5 hours, thereabout. And remember, my crock pot was on high, as I mentioned to you. But because this kale was so tender, it really didn't have to go as long, and I had mentioned that to you, and that's how I was able to tell that it's done. So I want to take some out so you can kind of see the texture, and we certainly are going to taste it. I added personally just about a teaspoon of, half a teaspoon, of salt, pepper, and about 1/4 teaspoon of the chicken flavor. So this is where, again, you're going to have to adjust based on your taste. You can start there, and if you like a little more pepper, add a little more pepper. If you wanted a little more salty, although I would say if you use some really good smoked turkey necks, and if you do it like I did, where you had one on the bottom, one on the top, I don't really think you're going to need that much by way of salt or even the chicken flavor. But I like adding that little chicken flavor. So let's take a look. You can see, wow, the steam coming up. And the aroma is so good. So it looks delicious, and you can see, and again, I'm going to put some on the plate here, a far cry from where we started, right? It was, the pot was so full. And I'm going to just kind of let you see. I'm going to try to hold the crock pot up a little bit so you can see. But I want you to get an idea of kind of what it looks like, kind of after the fact. And remember, this crock pot was filled to the top, and now it's about, I'm going to say, about maybe a little more than half, because it really does go down. And again, a lot of the water, there's still a lot of the juice in there, but definitely the juice is kind of below the top. So we're going to take a taste, and now this would be really good with maybe some barbecue chicken or corn pudding. I just think all kinds of good stuff, and maybe even some cornbread. There's that cornbread recipe that I have out there. So let's take a taste. Oh my gosh. It's so tender. As I mentioned to you all before, it's just delicious. Fantastic. Well, that's all I have for you today. Crock-pot kale. Wonderful, delicious, healthy, nutritious. Enjoy. Take care. Bye, everybody.